Coming up in this episode of Finding Common Ground.
Help me when you start talking about potential 20-year sentence on RICO charges. Bill, RICO charges are stuff they use for the mafia and drug dealers and all this kind of stuff.
I remember people being prosecuted under the RICO law, but I don't remember anybody that's beat it.
There are two sides to every coin.
How do we deal with racial issues when they affect relationships?
Finding common ground on all those issues that we come against.
There's black and there's white.
And I think as Christians, we have to learn how to get together because we're not in heaven.
I've met more interesting people just by God just bringing them in.
Republicans and Democrats.
But a lot of times when it comes to race and it comes to culture and it comes to perception, even as Christians, we don't always understand. We look at it through our lenses.
There's Bill.
I grew up in a suburb of Cleveland called Parma.
Any black people in Parma?
There was not one.
Not one black person,
Not
Bill?
one.
Come
Not
on, Bill.
one.
You got to have one. Token black person? A token?
And there's Odell.
I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, public housing, single mom, divorced single mom of 4 kids. And I came up through segregation and all that kind of stuff.
If a black person drove through the town, the police would stop and escort them out.
Bill and Odell are finding common ground.
A part of what we have to do is listen to each other, find the common ground, and question, not questioning you like you're on a witness stand, but questioning you for a better understanding. Father God, we just say thank you for your grace and your mercy. Just thank you for all that you do and how you protect us. And God, as we continue to serve, just like Jesus, fiery dots will be cast against us. And everybody won't understand. But we know that you understand. We know you called, and we know that weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. So God, we thank you for the morning. We thank you for the sunshine. We thank you for the rain. And without the storms, there'd be no rainbow. So God, we love you. We thank you. And we continue to pray for Bill and his family and pray for Beverly and my family. In Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you for the ability to do a podcast with my friend here, Odell. Lord, give me safe travels as I travel to Cleveland tomorrow for a Boy Scout fundraiser. And I get to see my family, my brothers and my cousins as we are part of the fundraiser. Lord, just give us some rest when all this is done and all these travels and allow us to regenerate and go after the next thing that you have us involved in and make it abundantly clear what you want us to do. Amen.
Right. Bill, so how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good.
Bill, have you ever heard of the Cool Kids Club?
No, I have not.
Well, when you were in high school, or usually it's middle school, we start dividing into the cool kids table or the popular kids, or in the lunchroom, we're going to sit at the all black table or the all white table or what? How was it in Parma? How did you all do it there?
Well, I went to an all boys school, so we didn't have a lot of pressure.
All right.
Most of us sat we just sat with our buddies, but I think the overriding thing for us in the cafeteria wasn't the cool club, but you could buy your lunch.
Okay.
And I couldn't afford my lunch, so I had peanut butter and jelly all the time.
All right.
And I always remember sitting with the kids that could go buy their lunch, and man, they had great looking French fries. I kept saying, man, I want one of them French fries. And as young men, you never have enough to eat. If you're done for lunch, about an hour later, you're starving and you want to do something, eat. And, it's just a different way of living.
Well, Bill, so you're saying peanut butter and jelly on one hand, nice, hot, crisp, smelling French fries on the other hand, and you sit there and said, okay, you can still remember that. Now, I think it was a little different, though, because we had what we call free and reduced lunch. We were poor, Bill.
Yeah.
We were so poor, we couldn't afford O and R.
We had free and reduced, too. You know what it was?
What was it?
Nothing. We got nothing. That was free and reduced.
Well, a lot of times when we think about the Cool Kids Club, it's like, okay, I want to be at this group. All the things we do to get in the right Rotary Club as business people, or the right Kiwanis Club, or the right, some, not all, go to the right church, the First Baptist Church of the Grand Poobah instead of the Second Baptist. Or, we network and we do all these things. You get to the right country club or to the right 100 black men or all those things till we get into the club. And I think about the indictments on the former president. I think we're down to 4 now. I can't keep up with them, Bill, but I think let's just say 4. And if I make a mistake, then blame it on my head and not my heart. That's what us Baptist people say, Mark. So when you think about this, I know that President Trump got indicted in Georgia, of course. I think it was the Fulton County District Attorney, Fannie Willis, if I'm not mistaken. And the sheriff office said 19 defendants being charged and documented, expected to be booked in the Fulton County Jail in Atlanta. So 19 people are going to show up and get booked and go to jail. And they have all the different names. And, they have some very familiar names, Bill. Like, the good thing about it, when they do this, they use your real name. So Donald John Trump, Rudolph William Louis Giuliani, John Charles Eastman, Mark Randall Meadows, Sidney Catherine Powell.
Yeah, those are big names.
Definitely. But then there's some names like people you don't know that we're going to talk about. Stephen Clifford Lee, Harris William Prescott Floyd, Trevena C. Cuddy, and Misty Hamilton. So, Bill, what I'm trying to say is that sometimes when you look at this, you say, who are all these people? Who are all this 18 co-defendants? So something came on TV and they had like a picture of all these people, a little small little picture, kind of like you do in the school album, and all of them was there, right? And I looked at all the folk and I'm like, whoa, look like 2 of them are black people. Then I had to be careful, Bill, because I was like, wait a minute, black people don't usually get caught up in all this because they don't call it black collar crime. They call it white collar crime for a reason. We don't usually get caught up in all this. Then I said, wait a minute, Odell. It's the summertime. White folks get tans in the summertime, so it get dark and you may think they're black. So let's go back and check. And I wouldn't check, Bill. And guess what I found?
What?
2 individuals were my people. It was Harris William Prescott Ford. He doesn't sound black, but you know how that go. And Trevani C. Cuddy. So I started saying to myself, self? And Odell said, yes. I said, I wonder how these 2 intelligent looking black folk got caught up in this mess with Trump. And then the thought, the Cool Kids Club came. And I'm like, wow, Bill, you did a lot of business deals. But help me when you start talking about potential 20-year sentence on RICO charges. Bill, RICO charges are stuff they use for the mafia and drug dealers and all this kind of stuff, not law-abiding citizens. Bill, help the good-looking black guy out, please.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the RICO law, but I do know they used it for, like you said, the mafia and drug people. And I think it was that they conspired to keep the election in favor of Trump, and so I think there was a lot of that. I have not read the 45-page indictment. Probably going to do that next week. It's kind of busy this week. So I'm kind of curious. I read the other indictment with the documents, and that was pretty straightforward. If they can just prove what's in there, was pretty interesting. The one thing that's interesting to me is they got Mark Meadows and Giuliani in here.
Yeah, man.
And Giuliani's got a lot of problems, financial and lawyers and all kinds of things.
I thought I saw that, I think, now I don't know, that allegedly, because Odell don't want to have any problems, allegedly his house is up for sale or something like that. You heard anything about that?
Yeah, I saw an article that is, I guess it's a condo or something in Manhattan is up for sale for $6.5 million. So I don't know how much lawyer fees that is, but I can tell you, when the scouts were going through our bankruptcy, now it was a big bankruptcy. We had 80,000 people in every state of the union. And we were running at $7 million a month in legal fees.
$7 million per month.
Yep.
In legal fees. Yep. So January 7, February 7, March. They didn't give you all a discount, a cut?
Not at all. And the thing is that we had to, that lasted, 3 years, 4 years? I mean, it was.
Y'all bought somebody a mansion somewhere on Malibu. Goodness. Y'all bought somebody a mansion on Malibu.
Yeah, some attorneys are probably okay right now.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not laughing at the situation, Bill. I'm not laughing. But when you think about it in attorney fees, I think the former president has this PAC or fundraising. He gets dollars and that pays his legal fees, because I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, okay, I can't keep up with everything, but I try to keep up with it by states in the District of Columbia. So I think the first one happened in New York. The second one happened in Florida, I think. I think the third one happened in the District of Columbia, which is not a state, Odell, but District of Columbia. And I think this is the fourth one happened in Georgia. So you have New York, Florida, Georgia, and the District of Columbia. And I think the other ones were federal cases, except for the civil versus the criminal. Mm-hmm. And I think this one is not federal, because the way they did this one is state of Georgia charging. And the thing about it, Bill, from the hood I grew up in, when you get a lot of people together and all of a sudden everybody has to have their own attorneys and everybody in the cool kid clubs get tried, and you sit there and say, Bill, I know you really got caught up into this, but that doggone Odell got you in here. Now, Bill, you can protect Odell, or you're going to get 20 years, and Odell might not get anything. What's old Billy Boy going to say?
Not good. Not good. That is not a good situation. Not at all.
Wait a minute, Bill. How you mean it's not good?
Oh, no, that's not going to work.
You in the cool kids club.
You know, I never was in a cool kids club. I was in a club of Boy Scouts, but never the cool kids club. When we grew up, we had called greasers, and what were the other ones? They wore Madras products, clothing. I can't remember what they called them, but the greasers were the guys that had slick back hair and wore that kind of look.
Roger Stone, baby. Yeah. Roger Stone. Yeah. Roger Stone with the slick back hair and the pinstripe suit.
Yeah. Based on how you dressed, that you were one of those groups. In my case, we were so poor, I just dressed, my job, when I was in high school, when I got done with school, I went and worked with the janitor. I cleaned the blackboards. I cleaned the toilets.
Are you serious?
Yeah, cleaned the floors. Yeah, I had to do that to offset my tuition, because we couldn't afford my tuition. It was really expensive. It was $384 a year, and for my dad, that was a lot of money.
So, Bill, why didn't you all go to public school?
I don't know. That's a great question. When I grew up, went to Catholic school, and the next step was to go to Padua High School, which is right next to our Catholic school. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I went and applied and got in. And I think it was because I was in Catholic school, they pushed you to go to Catholic high school.
Oh, okay. Now I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. So think about it. The thing about this in Georgia, it's a song, you probably never heard of this, is the devil went down to Georgia looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind, so he tried to make a deal.
Johnny Cash.
Exactly. So let's just say folks went down to Georgia looking for some votes to steal. They were in a bind because they were way behind. So they started making a deal. Mm-hmm. And the deal was formulated at the table of the Cool Kids Club.
So somebody came up with the scheme.
An idea, a brilliant idea. We never call it a scheme, Bill. Yeah. You don't call it a scheme. You say it's a brilliant idea. I know how we can fix this election, Bill.
Yeah, I know how we can do it. But while they were talking about it, they didn't realize they were breaking the RICO laws of Atlanta until now.
Maybe there's some bourbon at the table, Bill. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, Trump doesn't drink, and maybe that's his problem. He needs a drink.
Okay.
But, Giuliani, oh, man, talk about a guy that's dropped from the mayor of America during 9/11 to this. Oh, my gosh.
Well, one of the things about the state of Georgia that you may or may not know, and people may or may not know, is that Georgia televises its jury trials.
Yeah.
So it's going to be cameras in the courtroom, and I think it's Rule 22.
You think that will be a bestseller?
Oh, I think it's going to be bigger than O.J. Simpson. Remember O.J. Simpson? Oh, yeah. Remember Ted Bundy? Remember the Mendez brothers? All those things. And now here we go. We're going to be on TV. And man, all these people, I just don't think everyone in the cool club is going to is going to fall on the dagger or fall on the sword for the former president. I just don't think so. I might be wrong, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Somebody's going to rat out, with that many people. You don't know what the other guy's saying.
Exactly. I remember once when I was young, we were in a community and somebody came up with an idea. Wasn't no bourbons involved, and said, hey, let's go rob the store. Right? No, I think it was let's go break in the store. So we're like, yeah.
Was it at night?
Yeah, it was at night. So it's like, yeah, store closed. We're going to go break in the store. And I saw it,
Why were you going to break in a store?
to steal. Why you think, Bill?
Well, I mean, were you going to steal Twinkies or?
I don't know. Someone came with an idea. It's almost like this idea, the cool kids cause let's overthrow an election. It's like, is this a good idea? So they started walking, right? And I just kind of walked toward the pack. And when they turned the corner to go to the store, I took off running home.
Good for you.
And I remember them yelling at me, I can't say the words they said, but they didn't say chicken. Yeah. In my hood, you didn't say chicken. They used some real hard words. I didn't care. I ran as fast as I could because sometimes you have to know when to run away from the cool kids club because the peer pressure, I guess, Bill, do we have peer pressure even as adults?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the amount of power that the president has is like a flame to a moth. It just draws it to it. And so, Donald Trump was president of the United States. And all these people thought, hey, I can help him and he's going to help me. And this is a good thing to save him because it was stolen. I'm sure they believed they were doing the right thing.
Okay.
It's amazing that now that I think they're looking back and going, oh, man, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Or maybe they still think they did a great thing and they're suffering as martyrs over this. I don't know.
Well, let me talk about the black folk in here. I talked about the black folk and said I had to be careful, Bill, because I didn't know if it was black people because I saw it from a far distance and there was so many of them. They had little snippets. I said, okay, these are black people or these white folks who went to the beach and got a real dark tan, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Be careful when you look at it. So I started Googling and tracing and doing my little investigation. So this is kind of what it says, allegedly. A young lady by the name of Trevonna Cuddy. She's a, notable publicist, and she's getting charged with attempted to influence Freeman's testimony. Now, Ruby Freeman and her daughter, I think is LaWanda Shea Moss. You saw them on TV testifying in front of Congress and other places. They were the two black individuals who were poll counters. Mm-hmm. Or vote counters. And I think about that and why that hit home is that my mother used to volunteer for years to go down to election day and help. I don't know if she counted votes or whatever. She would just go down there and help.
Well, my mom did the same thing.
Okay. So now all of a sudden, Miss Ruby Freeman and her daughter, remember down in Atlanta, you kept hearing about these women were falsely accused from Trump and his campaign for illegally counting phony mail-in ballots after pulling them from a mysterious suitcase while working election day, and you had all these video of looking like these people pulled a suitcase, like someone just brought some suitcases in, then come to find out it was standard ballot containers. So that's the lie that was told. And these young ladies, they gave out their name and everything. And it was just, they said their life was a living hell. So this was the plot. Stephen Clifford Lee, he was a reverend. Then I dug more and more and more. He was a police chaplain. And I kept digging. He's a former police officer. And he took it upon himself, allegedly, to go to Miss Ruby Freeman's and her daughter's house to get some information about why they did and try to get them to confess to voter fraud. Well, like any good black woman, a white guy, stranger shows up, slam the door and move on. So he went to his friend, Harris William Prescott Floyd, allegedly.
And both those are indicted.
Yes, allegedly. And he was a key figure in the Black Voices for Trump. So a black guy. This is one of the black people I saw. And somehow, allegedly, Stephen Lee got Harris Floyd to agree to come up with a plan to get Ruby Freeman to talk. So allegedly, Harris Floyd contacted Miss Cuddy, who lived in Chicago, and got her to come down here and go to Miss Ruby Freeman's house and talk to her and said, I'm a crisis management. I know you're in trouble. Some things going on. I'm here to help. And in the midst of all that, she went in there and allegedly told her that, hey, if you confess within the next 48 hours, things can work out. I can help work it out. If not, some terrible things are going to happen to you and your family. And I know some powerful people and they're going to be coming to your house and all this. So the lady got scared and left her house. So it's like,
Let me ask you a question. If that happened to you, what would you have done?
my ego would say I would make sure I knew what my weapon was and it was loaded. No, I'm serious.
Okay.
But calmer heads would say wouldn't want to put my family in danger. So I would leave and report it to authorities. And that's what happened. So now they caught up on all this RICO charge and stuff. And I'm sure, Bill, that they didn't want to. This young lady was a notable publicist for Kanye. They call him Ye now. And I think that's how she met Trump through Kanye West. I don't know. But you got caught up in all this stuff. And then you think about Brad Raffensperger. I think that's his name. And one thing he said after all this, and he said, the most basic principles of a strong democracy are accountability and respect for the Constitution and the rule of law. You either have it or you don't. And you talked about all these people, and our good buddy from North Carolina, per se, Mark Meadows, Trump's chief of staff, is seeking to have the case against him in Fulton County moved to the federal courts because his contact allegedly in the indictment took place while he was the chief of staff. So he's saying, I made the famous call and set it all up for Trump, but I was in Washington, D.C. as Trump chief of staff. So you can't charge me in Georgia because I was in D.C. And see, Bill, that's the kind of stuff when you start getting in the cool kids club and that influence. But let me tell you who didn't go. One of my heroes didn't get caught up. Rex Wayne Tillerson is an American engineer and energy executive who served as the 69th United States Secretary of State in the Donald Trump administration. From 2006 to 2017, he was the chairman and chief executive officer, CEO of ExxonMobil. Now, Rex Tillerson was strong enough, Bill, to say, no, I'm not in the cool kids club. And I think you've met Rex a couple of times, right?
Yeah, a number of times. I've had a lot of meetings.
What kind of man is he, Bill?
First off, he was the CEO of either the first or second largest corporation in the world.
Wow.
Depending on, it was between them and Apple. They went back and forth. And so his company was in about 140 countries.
Wow.
So it was in a lot of countries, and he traveled all over the world. And if you go to Bob Woodward's book, chapter number 3 on Rage, the book is called Rage, is all about Trump and Rex Tillerson. The way it came about is Dr. Robert Gates, who was president of the Boy Scouts, and he was the head of CIA, Department of Defense, under both Democrat and Republican presidents, and well-respected man, president of the Boy Scouts, as Rex Tillerson was president of the Boy Scouts. And Dr. Gates was called when Trump was elected in getting together his cabinet.
Wow.
Dr. Gates was called to the Trump Tower to talk to Trump about potential candidates. And Dr. Gates, in the book, it says that Dr. Gates said, you ought to talk to this guy, Rex Tillerson. And Trump said, I've never heard of the guy. And so he explained who he was and that he had relationships in Russia and all over the world. Any place there was oil. So Trump asked Tillerson to come, and he met Tillerson. And when you meet Tillerson,
wow,
he's first class.
Right.
You can't help but being impressed.
I never met him, but when I see him, Bill, he just looks
humble,
like a stand-up guy.
Humble, and but really, really smart. And so Trump offered him Secretary of State, and he went home and told his wife. And he said, I don't want the job. He said, I just retired from ExxonMobil. I want to wind down. And she says, you have a duty to your country if you're being called to serve the country.
Wow.
And, scouting is duty to God, duty to country, service to others. So he agreed, and he became Secretary of State. And I was with him out in Montana at a ranch, and he doesn't say much about Trump. If you ask him, he doesn't badmouth him. He doesn't, none of that. I was in a group with a group of men, and somebody asked him, you got fired by Trump by a tweet when you were in Africa.
Wait a minute. No, Bill, don't explain. No, not Rex Tillerson, not my hero. Don't say that, Bill.
Yeah.
Trump fired my hero via a tweet while he was in Africa?
Yeah. Well, he was doing work in Africa for the Secretary of State.
Wow. And
Rex said, I'm going to tell you two things about Trump, he said. One is he saved my life by firing me. And two is I sleep really well at night.
Wow.
And so somebody said, well, how did he save your life? And he goes, well, I was traveling so much that I was getting sick. And the time zone changes and all the stress. And so I would go to Navy doctors and they would check me out and they'd say, it's just the stress and the time zone. They give me some medicine. I'd feel better for a while and I get sick again. So after I got fired, I went back to Texas, his house, and he got his family doctor. And he went in and he was having another episode. And the doctor said, let's just check you out. Let's do an MRI and see if anything's going on.
Right.
Well, they did an MRI on him. And the reason I know this is Dory also talked to him about it. And,
wow.
And he had stage 3 kidney cancer.
Wow.
And he didn't know it. And nobody picked it up. Had he not been fired, he would have probably kept working and it would have killed him.
Wow.
So they were able to catch it early enough. And the reason Dory talked to him is Dory donated a kidney.
Wow.
So they were talking kidneys and functionality of them. And because of that, it saved his life.
Yeah. Listen, I have no idea. I had a kidney stone a while back. At least I think it was a kidney stone. They said passing a stone. I think that means kidney stone. And I almost was crying like a little baby.
I heard
that
it
whole
hurts.
thing.
I heard they hurt.
Yeah. But so Rex Tillerson was the type of leader, American, patriot that we needed to help in the administration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I heard he was being made Secretary of State, I had made a lot of confidence in Trump's ability to pick good people.
Another guy I like, you talk about the hair slick back, Roger Stone. You remember Roger Stone?
Yeah.
Roger Stone just remind me of just a cool guy. You just have to look like his look. Pinstripe suits, just dapper Dan type guy. He was playing with Trump for a minute. And then all of a sudden, he got a little jammed up and stuff. Trump pardoned him and we don't even see Roger anymore. Roger don't even play around anymore with all this stuff.
Yeah. Any part of it.
Well, the thing about it, and now you start thinking about, all the people he pardoned. Trump pardoned, I think, Paul Manafort. Remember him?
Yep.
Roger Stone, Charles Kushner. Now, Bill, I can't remember. Who's Charles Kushner?
Charles Kushner is his son-in-law's dad, who was put in jail for some reason by Chris Christie for a long time. I don't know if it was business practices or what, but Chris Christie got him and Trump pardoned him.
Well, remember our girl, Kellyanne Elizabeth Conway, is an American political consultant and pollster who served as a senior counsel to the president in the administration of Donald Trump from 2017 to 2020. She was previously Trump's campaign manager. Some would say, and I would agree, that when she would get on TV and represent Trump, that really helped change his image at the time. But it was funny because she was married. Her husband was attorney and a big critic of Trump, George Conway. Now, Kellyanne didn't get caught up in this. Now, Sidney Powell did, but Kellyanne didn't. What happened there?
I don't know with those two. I remember Sidney getting up and saying all these things.
She would always have those beautiful scarves around her neck, right?
Yeah. And she said, all kinds of crazy things that were going on. And then when she got caught and called on it, she said, well, those are just possible things. Okay.
That was the whole thing around the COVID. And what was the guy named, Bill? Come on, the guy, everybody, either you loved him or hate him, Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Fauci.
Oh, boy, COVID came and we forget about all that. And Bill, what is it about the Cool Kids Club that makes us, I don't want to be all crazy, so I'm not going to say sell one soul. I'm not going to say any of that. I'm going to say we want to be in the right country clubs. We want to be in the right this. We want to get invited to the right holiday parties. We want to get the right seats at the sporting events. What is it about us as a people? Republican, Democrat, black, white, Christian, Jew, not just what is it about us that want to be in the Cool Kids Club, Bill?
Jesus came as a humble servant to serve, not to lead. And unfortunately, we want to be part of the Cool Kids Club. And Jesus never was. I mean, if you look at his apostles, they were misfits. They were not part of the Cool Kids Club. They were far from it. And they didn't try. I don't know if they tried to please him or not. It doesn't come clear in the Bible, but clearly he was a humble servant that came to serve. And if you look at this list, were any of these people there to serve the American people or to serve Donald Trump?
Wow. That's a great question, because when I look at Misty, I think Misty Hamilton, one of the people on the list, Coffee County, Georgia election supervisor. You talked about that. You're talking about her a lot on TV, because Coffee County, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the ones where the electric and everybody got to the voting machines and all that.
Yeah. Well, what do you think somebody like Misty, who doesn't have I don't think she comes from a lot of money, and I'm just guessing, what do you think it's going to cost her in legal fees?
Wow. It probably will cost her, I have no idea, but it probably cost her more in status, in family dynamics, because this is just not the individuals here, Bill. These are not these 18 co-defendants. There's their families.
They're human beings that have families.
Families and reputations in the community. Yes. Yeah.
Can you imagine how it feels for her to walk in her church?
Wow.
Or to walk to the grocery store?
Well, Reverend Stephen Lee, he's a pastor.
Yeah. Police
chaplain, pastor, and your pastor got arrested?
Yeah.
Your pastor.
I suspect easily you're going to spend $100,000 on legal fees here. Maybe $200,000.
Bill, the average person don't have nowhere near that.
Yeah. And then you got to find a lawyer that wants to do it.
You don't think the president of the Cool Kids Club will say, "Hey, boys, I'll take care of all legal expenses"?
No.
You sure?
No. I don't think he's got a defense fund for these folks.
Not even Rudy Giuliani?
No. He was paying some of Rudy's bills in the past, they said, but he stopped doing it.
How about Mark Randall Meadows? He was chief of staff. He was his guy. Bill. He was his guy.
Yeah.
No. And I guess John Charles Eastman and some of these other attorneys, I've heard something that any attorney that represents themselves has a fool for a client.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Particularly in a criminal case, you better get somebody good. And, they're all going to go to Fulton County Jail and get booked. It means fingerprints and mugshots.
Wow.
All these people are going to get mugshots, probably not Trump, but maybe.
Well, one of the things, as a black, slim and trim, good-looking Democratic male, one of the things that Trump did, he accused Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Wandrea Shea Freeman, of being professional vote scammers, and said that they wrongly awarded Joe Biden 18,000 votes. And Bill, when someone comes to you and say, "Odell, you're wrong," and I keep doing it and I keep saying it, what is it within me? We talked about wanting to be in the Cool Kids Club. What is it in the president of the Cool Kids Club that will allow that individual to put all these people's career in jeopardy just for him?
Yeah. It's amazing. I'm just looking here at Roger Stone's bio. It said he worked with on campaigns for Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, Jack Kemp, Bob Dole, George W. Bush. Did he ever get in trouble for working with them?
No. I like Roger Stone. I don't know Roger Stone. Let me say, I like Roger Stone's image and the way he carries himself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know people are going to hear me and say, "Odell, you fool, da, da, da." I get it. But from a fashion perspective, I like Roger Stone's swag.
Well, he's dapper. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
He's dapper. But he's not an indicted person. So
he said, "Listen, pardon me, and I'll pardon." People say, "Excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me." Well, they're saying, "Pardon me." And the state of Georgia said, "We're going to bring these charges so that if Trump's reelected, then you still can't pardon because of state instead of federal." But our good buddy, Mark Meadows, said, "Well, I'm leaving Dodge because, Bill, someone's talking."
Oh, yeah.
There's no way they could put all this together if these folks came in and testified. Somebody's talking.
They're not all silent.
How long do you think it's going to take for everyone to start trying to cut their own deal?
Probably tonight.
Dog, Bill. I mean, you ain't even let them sleep on it or what?
No, they've got a lawyer and the lawyer goes, "Let me read the charges." And then they give them their options. And one of the options, I'm sure, is, "You want to sing like a canary? I'll see if I can get you off." On a life sentence.
It's interesting. The young lady who went over to Ruby Freeman and got all caught up in that, They were saying that she was involved with Ye or Kanye West. And when they reported, allegedly, when they went to Kanye West's people, they said, listen, we had nothing to do with Miss Cardi when she was dealing with Miss Freeman. So, people are just already, and, Kanye West and his people don't distance themselves from stuff. They usually make news. But even this, they're like, nah.
No, it's a hot potato.
No, we ain't got nothing to do with that. We don't know anything. We know nothing. Like Sergeant Schultz on Hogan Heroes. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
I know nothing. So I don't know, Bill. Bill, if we turn the corner, racketeering law, that's a big deal, man. RICO. Mm-hmm. Those are stuff we talk about, mobs, and, they're talking about accusing of conspiring to overturn President Biden's election win in Georgia in violation of the state racketeering law or making false statements, soliciting Georgia's Secretary of State and state lawmakers to violate their oaths, conspiring to commit forgery through the plot involving fake slate of presidential election. What's fake slates? What's that, Bill?
I have no idea. I remember people being prosecuted under the RICO law, but I don't remember anybody that's beat it.
Wow.
I don't remember ever somebody that was under the RICO law and walked away.
So we're going to sit here. In South Carolina, we say this: you mean to tell me? See, that's a South Carolina thing.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that we're going to sit here and see this whole thing televised, cameras in the courtroom, and watch everybody get there? You remember Cato Caton on the O.J. Simpson trial?
Yeah.
And Johnny Crockett, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit, and all that. So we're getting ready to go back through this again?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be theatrics. There's no doubt about it. And what do you think if Trump decides to go on a witness stand?
I wouldn't advise that. Now, I know he knows TV, but there ain't going to be no script there, Bill.
Yeah.
It's no going to be no retake. And you're sitting there and you go there, and his biggest defense so far is this lady's a racist. This judge is a racist.
Yeah.
What's your defense, Odell? What's your shield? My shield is she's a racist. Okay, what else? She's a racist. Okay, got to be more than that. Did you make the call? I did nothing wrong. It was a perfect call. Okay, Mark Meadows, what happened? Mark said, I'm getting out of town, baby.
Yeah.
I need this thing changed. I need this changed. But they didn't pull the senator from South Carolina in.
Yeah, Lindsey.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham. I don't know why. It's interesting.
Bill. Politics make strange bedfellows. How you doing, Mr. Politician?
I'm doing good. I've went to a bunch of council meetings and got a bunch of things they need from the school board, which I did. We had a school board meeting last night, so that worked out well. I'm excited about serving.
Well, when's the election again?
The primary is in March of next year. I have to declare by December 4th if I'm going to run, and of course I'm going to run. So I'm excited about it. I already raised $4,000 for my campaign.
Wow.
And the goal is to do 50.
Okay.
And so we haven't done a major fundraiser yet. We're kind of waiting for a couple things to happen. And I think they happened. So probably in September, we'll start doing the major fundraising.
So if one of our loyal listeners would like to support you, are you in a position that you could give out that information?
Yeah, we have a website called globalfornorthcarolina.com. They can go there and contribute if they want. $1 counts. globalfornorthcarolina.com. Mm-hmm. And that's for anyone who believe in Bill Goebel for school board in District 3 in Guilford County, North Carolina. So what's the most can they give? $6,000 roughly.
$6,000. I know we have a $6,000 listener out there. So $6,000, and your goal is how much again? 50,000.
Yep.
And you believe that $50,000 is what it's going to take to run a successful campaign and go from there.
Yes, I do. And we're figuring we'll find 50 people to give us $1,000 each.
Wow.
And I think we can do. So, it's just a matter of getting that done. Yeah, globalnc.com. Globalnc.com.
How do I spell Goebel? Because I saw a newspaper ad. They ran a big story about the young man who came on our show, Jesse Thomas, to announce that he was doing the governor. And they put down Minister Odell Cleveland, Bill Goebel talked about the podcast, and Minister Odell Cleveland, and they spelled Goebel wrong. So for everyone who want to know, it's GoebelNC.com, and it's this way, GoebelNC.com. Conservative principles, finding common ground, putting students first, donate, and a good-looking picture. Bill Goebel for school board with a pencil, old-fashioned number 2 pencil and everything. And you are a conservative. You are a Republican. Even though the Republicans don't like you, you love them.
Well, the Republican Party doesn't like me. Republicans still like me.
Explain that to a Democrat. The Republican Party doesn't like you, but the Republicans love you. And you've been a Republican, and you're going to be a Republican. Even though they don't like you, you're still going to be a Republican. Why?
Because it's what I believe. It's what I believe is the right thing. The principles of the Republican Party are what I stand for. There's some things I disagree with. I don't agree with the entire platform, but I suspect you don't agree with the entire Democratic platform.
Oh, no. You don't want me to get into the Democrats take the black vote for granted. The Republicans ignore the black vote. The black vote is caught between a political rock and a hard place. And if Odell had his magic wand, he would have 50% of black people registered Democrat, 35% of black people independents and unaffiliated, and 15% of black people registered as Republican. So you know, they kicked me out of the club a long time ago, Bill. They don't even send me letters to donate to the Democratic Party anymore. So I've been out the club a long time ago, but you've been a hardcore Republican and you believe what you believe. And my question is why you keep believing, why you keep not in the cool kids club, but why are you staying in the Republican club when they don't want you in the club? And you're like, Odell, you don't understand.
It's not about the club. It's about the kids. And I'm representing the kids. And if the Republicans don't like what I'm doing, then they don't have to vote for me. But I am going to represent the kids and the parents of District 3. And that means that I'm going to work with the consuls and the politicians in our area that happen to be Republican. And when I come up and talk to them and explain how we're spending our money in their area, they have some great questions about safety as well. And where's this lottery money going and all that? And they got great questions. So I try and get them answers and have them understand what we're doing. We can't fix, we have 123 schools that are average age of 60 years. We can't fix everything overnight.
Right.
It takes probably, but from the point you say, okay, let's go and build a new school to the kids walk in, could be 4 years.
4 years, Bill?
Yeah. By the time you find land, you buy the land, you prep the land, you design the building, you buy the materials, you build the building, it could be 4 years.
What unique skill set, Bill, that you brought to District 3 and to the school board when you start talking about millions and billions, millions of dollars of taxpayers' dollars? What unique skill that you found you've brought that make the board, because we're not talking about one individual, but make the board more functional and more better, sir?
I'm a businessman. I look at the P&L. I ask questions. Why are we doing it that way? Is there another way we can do it? Is there a way we can save money? Is there a way we can, I don't want to say cut costs, but be more efficient with our money? So that's one thing. But the other thing is I love going out in the community and meeting the folks that are community leaders and asking them, how can I help you? And I love doing that. And I went to my first council meeting and one of the consuls. And, they told me, you're not very popular here because of the Republican issue. And I said, yeah, I understand that. That's why I'm here.
The Cool Kids Club.
Yeah.
So I should say the Republican Cool Kids Club?
I'm not part of that.
Okay. Well, it's a Democratic Cool Kids Club that they kicked me out a long time ago when I voted and supported and endorsed Congressman Mark Walker.
It's interesting. They let me donate it to them. I gave them $7,000. They didn't say no. And it's amazing. But anyhow, it is what it is. I'm going to do what I do. And when March comes, if the people feel that I've done a good job and they want me to stay on, they'll reelect me. If they don't reelect me, God's got something else for me to do. I don't know what it is, but it'll be something else. And I'm not in this for a political career at all. I'm in it to serve. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, help me again. If I wanted to get GoebelNC.com, if I want to make a donation, to the cause. And we just want everyone to, it's Bill Goebel for school board, finding common ground, putting students first, conservative principles. And again, it's Goebel, GOEBELNC.com. And you cannot donate more than,
I think it's $6,200, but if you gave me 6,000, I'll be happy.
Okay. So 6,000 and he'll be happy. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And Bill, you have my support. And this is just going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Yep.
Final words, Bill, how do you find common ground with those who don't like you or disagree with you? How do you find common ground? As a school board member in the situation, how do you find common grounds with the Democrats on the school board and Republicans who don't want you on the school board?
Yeah. It's amazing that the Republicans don't want me at all. In fact, they sued me and the rest of the board members over it. But that's a little awkward at times. But I don't make any negative comments. I don't make any threats. I just try and work with them for the kids. Finding common ground is doing the right thing for the kids. I may disagree with them. I tried talking to them and they have their viewpoint, their set of lenses. I'm not going to change that. So as Jesus taught us, you dust your sandals off and move on. So I'll find people that want to work with me.
Well, have anyone ever said to you, Bill, you should become a Democrat?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've been approached by that and thought about it, but I'm going to stay in R.
Good for you. Good for you. One thing about it now, come good, bad, indifference, you believe in your convictions. Yep. Where did that come from?
It was interesting. My grandfather was a councilman for 27 years in Parma.
Okay. All right.
He is affectionately known as Grandpa Joe.
Okay.
And we as young kids would go out and campaign with him.
Wow.
The way he did it, he had 66 grandkids. And so he would take the older ones and he put them in an old Ford station wagon.
Okay.
And we'd load up in that thing. I'm sure nobody wore seatbelts back then.
Yeah, I remember those days.
I think he put 25 kids in it or something. I'm kidding, but a lot of kids. And he would, back in Parma, they had these streets that were neighborhoods that were probably 50 houses on each side. And so he would drop us off on the street with brochures. And our job was to go to every door and knock on a door. And when the person came, we'd hand them a brochure and say, will you vote for my grandpa?
That was the job. So no putting in the mailbox, no putting in the door. You knocked on that door, eye to eye. So that's why you're that handshaking, eye to eye. Let me go look in your eyes. Let me explain to you who I am.
And I saw the impact that had on people. And the other thing that I was taught by my grandfather is do not walk across their grass. Take the sidewalk and go around. Even if it's a shortcut, don't cut across people's grass. And so we did that. And then when you got done with 3 streets, that means 150 flyers. He would take us out and get us ice cream.
Wow.
We would do that every year with Grandpa. And we would cover his whole ward. And I remember election time, we'd put up the big sign in his front yard, Goebel for council. In fact, I think I'll bring it in. I've got some of his old flyers that he did. And he was a progressive. He was a Democrat, but they were conservative Democrats back then, like the Republicans are. And some of his themes were paved roads.
Okay.
Because they didn't have paved roads.
Now listen, I grew up from the dirt roads in South Carolina, so I understand dirt roads. Yeah. Yes.
And they had pictures of him shaking hands with the fire chief and the police chief with these old fire trucks and police cars.
Wow.
In fact, I've got the brochure, and then I've even got one of his certifications from the Board of Election where he was elected in 1941.
Bill, you're smiling when you're talking, and this big old smile is coming across your face. What about that brings joy to you? Because I can see it in your face.
I was proud of my grandpa, and I'll tell you what else he did. I had to go get Citizen of the Nation merit badge.
Okay.
And part of it, you had to go sit in a council meeting or some kind of public office meeting. So my brother and I, who was Boy Scout, we went to Grandpa and we said, Grandpa, we've got this requirement. Can we come to your council meeting and see what it's all about? And he said, absolutely. So he took us up. We watched the council meeting. And after the council meeting, he had us each sit in his chair that said Joseph Goebel, Ward 3. It's interesting, Ward 3 and District 3.
Wow.
And,
isn't that interesting? I wish you had pictures of that.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Of you sitting in the chair?
Yeah. And my brother sitting next to me. and Grandpa behind me and Grandma behind my brother. So I forgot about that until my Aunt Jerry gave us a bunch of old pictures. And I go, wow, I forgot all about that. I was in my Boy Scout uniform and everything. And I thought, man, this is like sitting in the Oval Office, and for me.
So was that your bug to get into politics? Because I think you went from there and then you were interning for a congressman?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I worked for a congressman. I was legislative aide for a Democratic congressman, Charlie Vanek. Again, very conservative, kind of a Republican. And that gave me the bug that said I should run. I never did. I felt that I had to go out and make money. And being a politician, you don't make much money. So well, let me say this in a nice way. And this does not mean anyone. Being an honest politician do not make money. Some politicians take money from individuals or take expensive trips. Well, you really don't have to be a politician to do that. Sometimes it's alleged that Supreme Court justices take expensive trips and everything. So, Bill, is the price that one pays for the Cool Kids Club. It sounds like your grandfather wasn't in the Cool Kids Club. He was just trying to make a difference. And it sounds like you're not trying to get in the Cool Kids Club, because a lot of the stuff that you've dealt with, and I personally witnessed you dealing with, you could have very easily taken the deal. You could have very easily said, okay, I will acquiesce to the Cool Kids Club and I'll get in the club and I'll do what the club says do. Yeah. That's not my style. That's not what I do. I think that the right thing, what I've done is the right thing, and we'll see. We'll see if it works out. Some powerful people have come against me, very powerful people, but that's okay. I don't hold a grudge. I'm just going to keep moving forward. Good for you, my friend. Yeah. Good for you. It's a quote you usually say from time to time. I can't remember the quote, but it talks about people doing the right thing for the right reasons. You used to read it, and I wish we had in front of us now, but we don't. So we would just go with Bill. I'm glad that is it William? The official name is what? Bill Goebel. Okay. So I'm so glad you can call me William, but it's Bill. Okay. I'm so glad that Bill Goebel is not one of the 18 co-defendants with the former president of the United States in Fulton County, Georgia. No RICO charges, none of that good stuff. Just my friend, and friend to many who listen to the podcast who respect you. But buckle up, buttercups. We're getting ready to have a televised cameras in the courtroom. If you think O.J. Simpson was something, or Ted Bundy, or the Mendez brothers, oh boy. Yeah, I hear it's going to happen in March. That's what I'm hearing. It's going to happen in March. So it's March 4th, day before Super Tuesday. Yeah. The day before Super Tuesday, Bill. Is it really? Oh, my goodness. I didn't know that. And the Republican Party, let me just say this. The Republican Party seemed to, National Party, love Trump. I don't understand it. For the life of me, I've never seen anything like this. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. But hey, we're in different times when it comes to politics. Yep. It's a whole different world. Last word, my friend. Let's keep the main thing, and keep going. Amen. Amen. Love you, my brother. You too. Take care.
Find Bill and Odell online at thecommonground.show. This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.
This podcast is brought to you by Yes Weekly, the Triad's largest circulated and best read weekly magazine. You can also find us online at yesweekly.com and on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Yes Weekly, your trusted news leader for local arts, entertainment, music, food, and more for nearly 18 years.
Whether you're a big, medium, or small business, managing and growing the bottom line is important. Focus CFO brings the experience and financial acumen of a Fortune 100 Chief Financial Officer to your company at a fraction of the cost. P&L help, internal reporting processes, or any business transitions or events. Focus CFO will help you and your team have a CFO in your company's back pocket. Focus CFO. Learn more at focuscfo.com.